How did you actually start the original business? What point did you realize that, hey, you could actually franchise this? How is the franchise business model different than actually running the location originally? What is your philosophy? And what's the vision now? What's the next 3-5 years look like for you? All right, so you want to introduce yourself, please?
My name is Ryan Parsons. I am the founder or co-founder of the Brothers That Just Do Gutters. Now I'm also with Evive Brands as a CEO.
How did you actually start the original business?
It's a long time ago, but the original business was started by my brother. I got involved a few years later. We started to build up this gutter thing. Then we had the idea to franchise it, and we spent a long time to get to that road. But by the time 2015 came around, we actually were ready. We had an awesome model, built it out, franchised it, and grew it to over about 120 locations.
Incredible.
For franchisees, as you said.
What point did you realize that, hey, you could actually franchise this?
It was around 2007, after starting in 1999. Wow, we've got the system down, we can duplicate this, and we love the idea of like developing a system that we could teach others. We had a heart for stuck business owners. Whether it was in the gutter industry or a landscape, we had success in scaling, and everyone would come to us, well, how do you go to a second crew? And I can't guys to show up. And we seem to have figured that out. And so we had a heart to provide a model in the service industry for people to not just have a job, but scale a business that eventually can run without them.
How is the franchise business model different than actually running the location originally?
One, you start with all the systems that took us 10, 15 years to figure out the hard way, right? So you're just like, when you're doing it alone, you're just figuring it out as you go, failing forward. And then you have a culmination of all these things that work, and then you get to package it. And I think it took us, 8, 10 years to hit $1 million. And then you have franchisees that can hit that in their first year, in their second year. So you're just shortening the journey for people that want to be in business.
I love that because it's a lot less risky and versus starting from scratch versus really buying into a proven, tested business model for someone.
You need grit to be in business, whether it's a franchise or starting alone, but most people don't have to take 10 years to get something to where you were hoping. A lot of people don't have that in them.
What is your philosophy? Because as a founder, as an entrepreneur, what is the philosophy that you would say that helped you to go through all the turbulence out there to really stay focused?
The thing that I eventually learned is that you have to be replaceable to be promotable. So when I'm in my business doing the work, I can't get to the next level. It's once I say, you know what, I can't do sales anymore. I'm going to hire you because I got to go run the business. I got to do this. So I realized that I was holding on to jobs or roles in the business way too long, and I was stunting the growth. And every time I moved up, somebody behind me got a new opportunity, and that became addicting. And that's how we grew it so big, is because as I moved out of the way, somebody else got to come in, and then I could go to the next level and think of the next thing. And I started to see further and further, not being stuck in the weeds. And that's how you really grow. And that's what we train all the owners of all of our brands is like, look, if you just want a job, but to just everybody, I really believe that most people want to be in business for two things. They want time and they want money. And they've always had one or the other. If you've got time, you typically don't have money. And if you got money, you typically don't have time. So the allure of business and franchise ownership is that, you know what? I can do the hard work. I can get it to a point that it's semi-passive and running without me. And now I've got something that's making an impact on the community. It's for my family, and I have full time and money.
You were able to essentially think bigger sooner.
I would highly recommend that. Yeah. You know, there's all these cliches, work on your business, not in your business. Yeah. Say that to somebody who's just starting a franchise. But that is the goal. How do you continue to replace yourself so that you can go to the next level and create opportunity?
That's powerful. And what's the vision now? What's the next 3-5 years look like for you?
Oh man, just getting better. So now I'm the CEO of a platform of brands called Evive Brands. So we've got 4 brands, and the goal is to just continue to hone them. How do you make it better for their franchisees? My heart is like, how can I go and find 1% somewhere and put it right back in their net profit? So systems, better technology, AI, how do we make it frictionless for their end client, for the franchisee, and then obviously acquire other brands and help them really hone in their business models for the franchisees?
What advice would you give to anyone out there? Maybe they're nervous, they're hesitant, and they're wondering, maybe, can I really franchise a home service business? And there's a misconception where people believe sometimes home service can't be franchisable. But now we've seen more than ever how home services is really taking over.
I would say, like, anybody who's in business, whether you never intend to franchise or not, you should build it like a franchise. And anything you do, and people are like, oh, you can't franchise plumbing, it's just all this stuff. Like, anything that we're doing, this interview, you could reduce to a system. I grab the guy out of the aisle, ask him a question. So any of the services, you just have to continue to think of like, how can I make that repeatable? How could I take that complicated thing and make it into steps? Because it's not my people that fail, it's my systems that fail. And if I can give them a good system to deliver service, now we can refine it and duplicate it. So I think you can franchise anything, they'll let you. Making sure that it works, making sure that there's money, that it's able to be duplicated, I think is the most important thing. And then just go for it. Sometimes it's just about going for it. We were too dumb to know how hard it was. When we franchised, we had no clue the journey and how difficult that was going to be ahead of us, but we went for it. So thankful we did. And I know a ton of franchisees out there that are thankful that we did, because it really can change people's lives. And franchising, most people, like, no one wakes up and is like, I want to be in the gutter business. But franchising or business is a vehicle for people to achieve their dream. Whether they pick gutters or assisted living, or it doesn't matter. It's the vehicle to get them to where they really want to be in life.
Well said. From the legend himself, great guy, everything you've said, your philosophy, and congratulations on all your success, right? So thanks again. Do you want to franchise your business and take it to a whole new level? Click the link below to schedule a free consultation today.